What happened here was a miracle.
I'm through.
There is no me. There is no me in you.
We cool?
Like it never happened.
That's all you had to say.
Thanks for watching my analysis of director Quentin Tarantino's 1994 American crime film Pulp Fiction, written by Tarantino and Roger Avary and produced by Lawrence Bender. Pulp Fiction stars John Travolta as Vincent Vega, Samuel L. Jackson as Jules Winnfield,
Well, allow me to retort.
Ving Rhames as Marsellus Wallace, Uma Thurman as Mia Wallace, Harvey Keitel as Winston Wolfe, Tim Roth as Ringo or Pumpkin, Amanda Plummer as Yolanda or Honey Bunny, Eric Stoltz as Lance, Rosanna Arquette as Jody, Christopher Walken as Captain Koons, and last but not least, Bruce Willis as Butch Coolidge. However, before I get started, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the Godfather of Cinema, movie reviews and more. Give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit the bell so that you won't miss any new videos that I'll upload in the future. Life is not a straight line, and there are often twists and turns. Sometimes we are caught off guard, sometimes we're tested, and sometimes things come back to bite us in the ass. In director Quentin Tarantino's 1994 black comedy crime thriller Pulp Fiction, almost everything has a price. But there are some things in life that no amount of money can buy. If you're watching this film analysis, then it is a safe bet that you've seen the film, so I will do my very best to avoid repeating what others have already said about the film's structure, violence, and dialogue. However, if you give me 10 minutes or so, I'll explain why Vincent Vega went back to Marsellus Wallace after leaving the coffee shop, and at the end of this analysis, I will also reveal 5 things that you did not know about Pulp Fiction. So let's get started. Los Angeles gangster Marsellus Wallace assigns hitman Vincent Vega to take his wife Mia out for dinner. She winds up choosing a diner called Jack Rabbit Slim's, where waiters and waitresses are dressed up like stars from the 50s. Initially, Vincent is careful about being professional with Marsellus Wallace's wife Mia because Marsellus had had a man thrown from the 4th floor window of a building for massaging Mia's feet, according to his partner Jules. But as the evening progresses, Vincent lets down his guard and relaxes by sampling her $5 vanilla milkshake with her straw, flirting with her in double talk, and dancing with her in the dance contest. Warning signs are everywhere for Vincent to see, as most of the 50s icons in the diner, like James Dean, are dead icons, as if to remind him that he will also be dead if Marsellus ever found out how far he has already gone with Mia. However, Vincent is not sensitive enough to pick up on these signs or the irony that Mia would ask him to take her to such a diner in the first place. He also forgets the story that his partner Jules told him about Marsellus having a man thrown from the 4th floor window of a building for giving Mia a foot massage. She offers him a drink when he takes her home, and while he's in the bathroom rehearsing his lines in the mirror, she finds the bag of he bought from Lance earlier, takes a snort, and passes out. But Vincent manages to revive her with help from his drug dealer, who advises him to give her an injection of adrenaline straight into her heart, and it works. Realizing that Marsellus would kill them if he ever found out, Vincent and Mia agreed to forget the entire night as though none of it had ever happened. Let's now go to Jules and Vincent, who've just recovered Marcellus's briefcase from 4 young men. 3 of whom are now dead. During this encounter, Jules and Vincent have been shot at 6 times at point blank range without getting hit by a single bullet. Jules sees this as a miracle and a sign for him to retire, but Vincent doesn't see it as a miracle or a sign at all. And to settle their debate, he turns around in his seat in order to ask one of the young men they brought with them named Marvin his opinion. Vincent's gun goes off by itself, and instantly the interior of the car and their business suits are painted with Marvin's blood. Jules parks the car in Jimmy's garage and calls Marsellus, who tells them to sit tight and wait for the Wolfe.
That's all you had to say.
Note that Jules decides to retire after being shot at 6 times at point blank range without being hit by a single bullet. Also note that the Wolfe's name spelled backwards describes water. Now combine both of these points, Jules' decision to change his life and the word water implied by the Wolfe's name spelled backwards, and there you have it, the rite of baptism. For in hosing Marvin's blood off the naked bodies of Jules and Vincent, the Wolfe is actually performing a baptism by washing away all of their past sins. And when Jimmy tells them that they look like
dorks
in the t-shirts, shorts, and flip-flops he gives them to replace their bloody suits tainted with Marvin's blood and the blood of all the men they ever killed, these new clothes represent their new lives. Ephesians chapter 4 verses 22 through 24. Throw off your old sinful nature and your former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. And furthermore, Mr. Wolfe even takes their bloody car to Monster Joe's truck and tow in North Hollywood for disposal, promising Jules and Vincent that it too would be destroyed and forgotten as though it never existed, as though nothing that they ever did had ever happened. Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 22. I have swept away your offenses like a cloud, your sins like the morning mist. Return to me,
Like it never
for
happened.
I have redeemed you. Now to Ringo and Honey Bunny, in a coffee shop, having breakfast and a conversation about robbing banks before deciding to rob everyone in the coffee shop. Just so happens, Vincent and Jules are a few tables away. When Ringo and Honey Bunny make their way to their table, Jules also has a gun and gets the upper hand on Ringo. Now, he should kill him, but doesn't kill him because he and Vincent had been shot 6 times at point blank range without getting hit by a single bullet. Additionally, they had had a car with a dead body and the blood of every man they had ever killed completely destroyed, forgiven and forgotten because the Wolfe holds all of the blood and sin off of their naked bodies and gave them new clothes and new lives to replace their old clothes and old lives. No, Jules cannot shoot Ringo and go back to his old self, trade in his new clothes for his old clothes. Instead, he gives Ringo a new life by letting him keep all his money and the money he took from the cash register and customers. After this, Jules simply lets Ringo go, and he does. Grateful to Jules that he and Honey Bunny can leave the scene of this crime as though the crime or any of the crimes that they had ever committed had never happened. And now, speaking of sin, grace and forgiveness, we come to Butch and Marsellus, who paid Butch to lose a fight that he instead won by killing the other boxer. Butch also won a lot of money by putting out the word that the fix was in for him to lose to Floyd. Now, it's just a matter of staying alive and surviving Marsellus' bounty long enough to catch a train to Knoxville in the morning. By chance or fate, Butch's car stops at a traffic light at the precise moment that Marsellus is crossing the street. Now, without going into every detail in this scene, they wake up tied to chairs and ball gagged in the basement of a racist pawn shop. The owner of this racist pawn shop, Maynard, and his brother Zed. Somehow, Butch manages to free himself and becomes the film's hero by rescuing Marsellus and, like Vincent, who was lucky to revive Mia's heart after she overdosed on the heroin she found in his jacket, and like Jules and Vincent, who were both shot at 6 times at point-blank range without getting hit by a single bullet. And like Ringo's luck in crossing paths with the new Jules instead of the old Jules, who would have shot him without thinking about it. Marsellus receives grace and forgiveness by being saved by a man he tried to kill just moments before. And the fact that Marsellus deserved neither grace or forgiveness is also driven home when we see Butch riding off on Zed's motorcycle with the word grace on the gas tank.
Whose motorcycle is this?
Butch also receives grace, forgiveness, and a new life from Marcellus's promise to cancel the bounty on his life for not throwing the boxing match, on the condition that he leave Los Angeles, as Jules vowed to leave his old life and as Vincent should have also done but didn't. There were signs all along that he would break away from Jules and return to his old life. After they had been shot 6 times at point-blank range without getting hit by a single bullet, he doubted this miracle by calling it freak luck. He even commits blasphemy afterwards by using Jesus' name in vain.
Jesus Christ.
Don't blaspheme.
In addition to refusing to recognize the existence of miracles and committing blasphemy, Vincent is also proud. Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 18. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Take note of the attitudes of Jules and Vincent and how they respond to instruction, particularly the Wolfe instructing them on how he wants them to clean the blood out of the car that Vincent shot Marvin in. Jules is cool and humble, with Wolfe's bluntness expressing his gratitude to the Wolfe for helping them.
Help is definitely appreciated.
Vincent, on the other hand, is ungrateful, resentful, and even defiant at being ordered around by the Wolfe, insisting that the Wolfe address him by saying please.
Pretty please, with sugar on top.
Vincent is also offended by the blunt and rough way that Jimmy talks. Jimmy is very crabby and upset at Jules for parking a car with a dead black man in his garage, though he does not use the word black in reference to the dead man in the trunk of Jules' car. Nevertheless, Jules accepts Jimmy's crabbiness and racist remarks with a humility and meekness that we would not have seen from him prior to his spiritual awakening. James chapter 4 and verse 6. God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. Therefore, in light of all signs warning him to retire and humble himself like Jules, Vincent trades in his new clothes and returns to the clothes he wore as a hitman. And being found incorrigible and ungrateful and proud, Vincent is caught off guard and shot dead by the man Marsellus sent him to kill, Butch, the boxer who refused to sell his soul. Here's a few things you may or may not know about Pulp Fiction. That the Vincent Vega character in the film was originally supposed to go to actor Michael Madsen, who turned down the role to star in Kevin Costner's 1994 film Wyatt Earp. Needless to say that Madsen later regretted this decision. Did you know that Marcellus Wallace's infamous pawn shop scene was almost a deal breaker for Mia actress Uma Thurman, who called the scene of her fictional husband being violated frightening? Did you know that Quentin Tarantino is a huge fan of Marvel Comics and the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Smash.
Did you know that Mr. Blonde, or Vic Vega in Reservoir Dogs, is the brother of Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, according to Tarantino, who also planned a film for them called Double V Vega? Did you know that the word is used 265 times in Pulp Fiction? Did you know that Butch and Marsellus shook hands and hugged after Butch saved him from Zed and Maynard in the script? And finally, did you know that Marsellus called the Wolfe to take care of Zed and Maynard after Butch left in the script? Thanks for watching my review of director Quentin Tarantino's 1994 American crime film, Pulp Fiction, and be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the Godfather of Cinema, and hit the bell for more film analysis and reviews like this one. I will see you soon.